Welcome to the Ask Bill Keegan Show. This is our second episode now. The first one was a couple months ago. And this is the opportunity for residents, citizens of the town of Foxborough to be able to give their input and ask their questions. And they can either leave their name or be anonymous. There's several ways to reach out, either the askbillkeegan.com website. There's a phone number posted on the website, and of course there's email. And we did have some responses, not as much as we'd like, but this is your opportunity, so we're hoping that everyone can take advantage. So I'm going to start here with first question, which I really was not aware about. There was something called Click It Fix, and a resident of the community asked the administration to consider the Click It Fixed in the past, and he wanted to know what your thoughts were on it, Bill Keegan.
Well, thanks for having me back, Shannon, and it's always good to be here. And with respect to Click and Fix, this is actually an app that can be placed on your cell phone, on your smartphone.
Okay, so you can just download it.
Download it. It's a free download. Okay. It works on both the Apple software as well as the BlackBerry software or Android platform, or either way. Well, one thing that it was a program that was put forward by the state. It was sponsored through the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, a couple of years ago, and there were a number of cities and towns that actually adopted it. And they've used it. I actually was approached for using it when I was in Dedham, but I was advised by our local staff members that the actual platform or the technology there was better technology to be used for it. So it was a little bit outdated in that respect. So there were better platforms for using this type of software. The software is intended to be an opportunity for residents. If they see something, if they're out and about in the community, they see something happen where they see a pothole, or if they see a tree that's down, or if they see a street light that's out. I mean, it's an opportunity for people to click on that particular website. It then calls up the type of issue that you have, and then it sends a direct message to the community to ask them to go and fix that.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is a good thing. Okay. I'm actually a big fan of the concept. I think it's a great concept, and I think it really does work. However, I'm not a big fan of this particular technology and this platform. So we have just hired a new technology director for the town, and we're going to be working with them closely to try and find out if there's a better way to integrate that kind of use or software into our program here in Foxborough. I noticed that a lot of the communities are now tying it right into a GIS type of geographic information system type of application, so that it actually provides a better platform for providing more up-to-date and more precise locations as to where some of these particular issues are occurring. So we are fans of the concept, just not fans of this particular application, but we are going to continue to pursue it.
Well, I'm definitely interested in hearing more about that.
It's a good way. It's another one of these e-government types of approaches that I'm a big fan of, and I think that's something that most communities are moving in that direction.
That's great. That sounds really interesting. And now we're going to move on to another question. There has been a previously controversial area surrounding the Cohasset River Park, which is conservation land here in Foxborough that has been used in many different ways. And there's been a previous lawsuit. One of the residents within Foxborough are wondering what might be being done to open this public conservation land to the public.
Well, it is a controversial issue, and I appreciate the fact that there is still some concern about it and how the land will be used. It is the Cohasset River Park, for background purposes, was an area that at one point was utilized as a dog park, and at that point there were a number of residents in the area who are butters to the property who raised concerns about that as whether that was an appropriate use. And ultimately they filed suit against the town for using the property for that particular purpose. The case went on for us for several years. Ultimately, the case then was settled through a court, through an agreement, a court-ordered agreement, court-approved agreement, I should say, that settled the case, and the area was no longer used as a dog park. The resident who wrote in this time indicated that they felt that the area should be reopened for public uses, and actually, to my knowledge, the land is open to public use. It just can't be used for a dog park based upon the way the agreement was read. I read the agreement just recently, and the way I read it, it can be used for other purposes other than a dog park. So it is supposed to be open. I'm not sure if it's been officially closed by any one particular group, and I'm going to research that some more to try and find that out. But my understanding is that it is open for hiking, for trails, for walking, for bird watching, for any kind of passive recreational use of that property. So I don't see there's any particular limitation on that based upon the way the agreement reads. So with respect to the question that came in, the park, as near as I can tell, and as I read it and I understand it, the park is open for people to walk through. It is not private property, it is public property, so therefore it should not be treated as private property in that respect. But there may be other limitations on it that I'm not aware of, but at this point in time, based upon what I've read and understand at this point, the property is supposed to be open for limited use. Okay.
Well, we welcome any more comments or questions concerning this topic, obviously.
Sure.
So we'll leave that to the residents. We have one more question. Wondering what the process is when residents apply for boards and committees. Maybe there might be, what I see here is a suggestion, a centrally located tracking and accountability for when residents do submit applications for boards and committees, maybe one central location.
Well, we actually do have a central location now. The applications for committee appointments can be downloaded from the town hall website.
Okay, and is that for any board and committee?
That's for any board and committee.
Okay.
It's www.foxborough.ma.gov. And it's under the administration website section of the website. So if you go to that section, you'll see that there is an application that can be downloaded for someone to fill out. They can also be found in the back of the town report.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to look at it from that perspective, that's already printed for you. So you can actually just take out that section of the report and pull out that piece and utilize that.
And then where do they get submitted?
And then they get submitted to the Board of Selectmen's office.
Okay.
Once completed, they can be returned to the office of the Board of Selectmen, which is located right in Town Hall. There's actually the first office on the right when you walk into Town Hall in the main entrance. So we then compile those applications, and most committees are appointed by the Board of Selectmen, except for the advisory committee, which is appointed by the town moderator. And
what process is that?
Well, what happens when there is a vacancy that occurs on that particular board or committee, then those applications will be submitted to the board for consideration. Okay. So the fact that an individual may submit an application for consideration does not necessarily mean they'll be appointed right away. It can only be appointed when the term of the individual is up, or if the person decides to step down and a vacancy is created. So that's the only time that occurs. But we do. It's an area that we're constantly working on because there are some 40 different committees throughout the community.
Now, do these applications ever expire, or are they held in one place?
Well, there are terms. The applications themselves don't necessarily expire, but the terms of the positions expire, and they vary from 1 to 3 years, depending upon the nature of the committee and the service that's being provided. So that can rotate in. But if a person wants to withdraw their application, they can always do that. But if not, the person's application will stay in consideration until the person gets appointed or decides to withdraw it.
Okay. here's something that I'm going to put in here that I know that a number of the community is interested in. It's we would all like to hear about the town hall.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you asking that question because we have been working on that for quite some time now. Actually, since I arrived, I think 2 weeks after I arrived, I formed the working group. That's been very, very active, and I'm very, very proud of the work that they're doing. They're doing a terrific job of sorting out the various facts associated with this project. So often, so many times, when projects like this get taken on, they become embroiled in levels of controversy that really sort of help to derail the project, if you will. And I think this has been no different with respect to this one particular project. So what we're trying to do right now is head off any of the controversy that we can find along the way, and to make sure that we're covering every single option that's available. And the committee's been doing a great job with that. We've limited that list down to effectively 2 locations that we're really focused on at this point in time. But in order to get to that point, we had about 10 different locations that we looked at originally. And we used the process of eliminating various locations for a number of reasons, which I won't get into at this point. But we're going to do that at a public hearing, which will present all that information. But we've effectively limited down to the existing town hall location, which actually has 3 options associated with it. Which is one is to tear down the existing building and rebuild on that existing location, or to renovate the existing building, or to build in the parking lot behind town hall. So really, those 3 options are available for that one location. And there's been a lot of support for that, general support for that, because of the fact that it's located right here in the center of town. The other location that we've looked at is located at Payson Road, which is located right behind the public safety building.
Okay, and I did not realize there was an area available.
Yeah, there is town-owned land behind that. It was actually given to us by the Commonwealth. It does have a bit of a restriction on it, which we would have to have removed, which we don't think would be all that controversial, and it could be done. But we've actually focused our attention on that parcel as well, because we already own it, and we're not paying taxes on it, or there's no taxes being paid on it currently.
Well, I know that everyone's going to want to know where that parcel is located.
It's located directly behind the public safety, where the auditorium is located.
Okay.
The auditorium, and that auditorium is a piece of property which we know is fallen into disrepair, and perhaps should be raised at some point. And that might be an alternative location for where we could build a new town hall.
Well, that's an interesting location.
It is an interesting
location. Right next to
location.
the public safety.
Right, and it's actually one which gained quite a bit of support internally from the committee, because it actually is perhaps an option that may even be less costlier than to build here in the center of town. Now, the reason why we don't want to get embroiled in controversy is that we'd rather have the town decide that question. So in many ways, because at the end of the day, we're concerned about the solution more than we are the location. So we recognize that there's a lot of support for keeping it here, because the master plan talked about that. But at the same time, I don't think that there was any focus at all on the Payson Road location, because it really wasn't part of the conversation when that was being done.
I know this is the first I've heard of it. So.
Right. So I think that's the reason why I think we have an obligation to at least tell residents about that, and to let them weigh in on that at some point, because we don't want to be in a position where we don't want to disrespect the work that was done by the master plan committee and the planning board, because that was important work, and we certainly respect that. But the other side of it, we don't want to be in a position where we don't have not listed the other option for people, so that they can say, well, geez, this doesn't make sense, and there is something that there are some aspects of this that really are interesting. So we're going to be talking more about that. In fact, our committee meets again today, and we're going to be talking about how we address that concern. We haven't quite figured out a way to address that at this point, but we are taking input from the planning board. We've taken input we're going to take more input from the public, and we're going to have input from the Board of Selectmen and the various town boards as to how they feel about that. But the work has been great work, and people in the committee have really delved into this. And it's a really interesting committee, because it's made up of both sides that were actually fighting against each other the last time. So we have both sides really working towards the same goal this time.
So you have a more diverse group.
It's a diverse group, and I think it's really been great, because they we do debate issues and we disagree sometimes, but we're not disagreeable about it. So we find we find common ground to reach on a lot of the issues, and by laying all the facts out for people, it's interesting how we can come to conclusions about how the issues should be addressed. So it's been a great process so far, and hope that we're going to reach a conclusion that everybody can support.
That's wonderful. Is there a place that if the public has an interest that they can provide their input?
We did add a section to the town website, the administration website that's named the Town Hall Working Group, and that group is meeting every other week, every other Tuesday. We've actually listed all the dates, and today is the 15th is the next scheduled meeting, which is today. But then every other Tuesday beyond that, we'll be continuing to meet. And so we will, the list of the meeting dates is listed on the website, so people have that. And we meet at 4:30 at the Boyden Public Library in the community room. So if anyone has a particular question or they want to provide additional input to the community, they can do that. We are going to hold public hearings, though, because I think it's important that we get to that point before we present something to town meeting, so we have a lot of public input into the process before we get to that point.
Well, I suspect there'll be a lot of interest.
I know that there will be, and it's a need that the town truly has. Just by, as an outsider looking in, and I've said this publicly to folks, that I really don't, as the old saying goes, I really don't have a dog in this fight as to where we want to locate it. But we do need a solution because the building is not functionally sound, and it does have some real, genuine concerns about the building itself. So we really, we need to make a decision on how to address that. At the end of the day, I think we need to provide a good working environment for the employees. At the same time, we want to provide a building that the town can be proud of as well. And I think at this current time, there's some real concerns about that. Okay.
Well, that's fabulous. I appreciate it. I appreciate the update. I know that the community appreciates the update. And right now, we're going to take a short break, and we will come back with two very special guests. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the Ask Bill Keegan show. We have here two special guests, Ginny Coppola, Board of Selectmen, and Mike Johns, who is our Director of Veteran Services Department. And they are here to come and share their plans for August in remembering the Purple Heart recipients of Foxborough. I'd now like to turn this back over to Bill Keegan.
Okay. Thanks, Shannon. I appreciate that. And thanks for joining us today. Mike and Ginny, I know that we've had a conversation about recognizing the Purple Heart recipients here in Foxborough. And Foxborough, as you know, has been leading the way in many ways about recognizing its veterans over the years. And so what I'd like to do is take this opportunity to ask Ginny and Mike to give our viewers a summary of what the program is planned for in August. So Ginny, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you very much, and thanks for having Mike and I here. What we want to do on August 5th at the Board of Selectmen's meeting is to recognize the recipients of the Purple Heart who reside in Foxborough. The Board of Selectmen was contacted last fall asking if the town would like to participate in a program recognizing Purple Heart recipients. The process is that we become a Purple Heart town, and through a proclamation, which the Board of Selectmen have already done that, you declare August 7th to be Purple Heart Day. And every August 7th after that is an annual declaration of Purple Heart Day. So at our August 5th Selectmen's meeting, we will be receiving a certificate from the Massachusetts Military Order of the Purple Heart declaring that Foxborough is a Purple Heart community. And then Michael Johns will be making presentations to Purple Heart recipients.
Now, Ginny and Mike, just for our viewers' information, can either of you explain exactly what a Purple Heart is?
Sure. The Purple Heart was originally made as an award of merit by General George Washington to recognize his men who were doing superior work in the field. And we've done some research on this, and Ginny, you might want to share how that was changed from an award of merit to an award for people who were actually injured in combat at the hands of the enemy.
Yeah, the Purple Hat has had a really interesting history. It was the first Purple Hats. It was originally just a metal, not a medal. It was a hat made out of purple sash. It was that General Washington actually wore. It was a piece of his uniform, and it was a badge of merit given to non-commissioned, regular soldiers, because General Washington felt that they needed to be recognized for their contributions. There are only really three that we know of that actually received originally the military badge of merit. After the Revolutionary War, it was discontinued, or it was put out of service. And 150 years later, they decided in 1932, they decided to reissue the Purple Hat medal, not only for merit, but also for someone who was killed or wounded in combat in enemy combat. That's the main criteria today, is you have to be wounded or killed in enemy combat. And the design of it changed. So what we had in 1932 is now what is traditionally recognized as the Purple Hat medal with George Washington's profile on it.
So Mike, how many other communities in Massachusetts are actually performing this type of ceremony right now?
Through our research, Ginny and I have found 6 other communities who have done so by searching newspapers and that sort of thing. There may be others, but we're not aware of any. So we appear to be the 7th, at least by scanning the newspapers. So it's something that we feel is important, and we feel, in a way, we're leading the way on this, even though we're not the first. I think we're doing a very extensive research. We're working through the National Military Order of the Purple Heart, Massachusetts Military Order of the Purple Heart. We're working through the Purple Heart Hall of Fame, as well as National Archives and Massachusetts Military Archives, looking up records, as well as our own Foxborough historical documents through the Historical Commission, the town historian, as well as my records. So I think we're leading the way as far as an extensive search. And what we're finding is congruent with Foxborough's history of service. Generally, you've got 1 or 2% of the population serving in the military. Foxborough historically has about 8% serving. And that's what we're finding with the Purple Heart recipients as well. Very high number. For a population under 16,000, so far we've discovered that we've got 26 Purple Heart recipients. And I'm getting a call every day of someone else whose uncle, family member, neighbor, they think was a recipient or know was a recipient. And we research through the records, find the proof, and then we add them to the list.
Well, I appreciate you both coming on today, because we know that there are probably others out there, and this is probably the best opportunity we can think of to try and get the word out. I know that there'll be additional media coverage of this particular event, because it is unique in this region, and the work is again consistent with what Foxborough does to recognize the service of its veterans. I was really struck by the service, even at Memorial Day, by the level of support that people provided for, the residents of this community provided for its veterans. And so it just, I think this is just another step in the right direction. I appreciate the work that's being done here, and I think that you both be commended for doing this and recognizing the work of the veterans. So, Jen, you have other thoughts?
Yeah, part of the recognition is we're working with the post office, and the post office has for Purple Hat Forever stamps, and we would like everyone in the town of Foxborough through the months of July and August, and actually all throughout the year, to purchase these stamps to show your support for the people who did honorable service for the United States of America. And they deserve the recognition, and we're very happy to participate in a program that does recognize these recipients.
Great. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming on today. And we want to remind the public that, and tell us some more information remind us again what the dates are and when this actually will be held.
So the important date to remember is August 5th. It's a Tuesday night, 7 o'clock at the Board of Selectmen meeting, Foxborough High School Media Center. That's when we're going to be handing out certificates, when the commander of the Massachusetts Military Order of the Purple Heart will be coming out to present a citation to the town where we can display publicly. One of the important things also to point out is that the public, the citizens of Foxborough, really made this thing possible, because up until now I knew of 10 Purple Heart recipients. As of this morning, I know of 26, 10 of whom are living. And a lot of those calls are coming from neighbors and former neighbors. So I would encourage citizens of the community to please let us know. Please let Bill, Ginny, or myself know. And we would really like to recognize these folks that have given above and beyond the call of service.
And one of the important points that was made at the Selectmen's meeting just a few weeks ago was that you don't have to be living in Foxborough at this time. You have, as long as you had roots coming back to Foxborough at some point, you still can be part of this group.
That's correct, Bill.
Okay. And Jenny?
Oh, and I just wanted to, the other important date is August 7th. That is the Purple Hat Day. And that's why you'll see flags around the common in recognition of the Purple Hat recipients. And the reason it's August 7th is because August 7th, 1782 is when George Washington proclaimed the military order the Badge of Merit.
Well, thank you very much for providing the information. We want to make sure that we keep those dates in mind. And again, it's important to understand that if there are folks out there, that please let Mike Johns know at the Veteran Service Office. Mike, your number and your contact information?
Sure. My number is 508-543-1204, and my email address can be found on the town website, foxborough.gov, under the Veterans Department. All my contact information and hours. Please do reach out to me, and I will be reaching out to contact folks who I have on the list here to extend an invitation for them to attend the August 5th Board of Selectmen meeting. And that is for living members, for family members, and then also for those recipients who have passed, for their family members, or if it's a neighbor, to please come out and join in this recognition. Purple Heart recipients in every conflict. Actually, almost every conflict. Some of the ones that are toughest to find and recognize, of course, are Revolutionary War, Civil War, that sort of thing. But we have on my list of 26 veterans from World War II, Korea, World War I, Vietnam, and our most recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Great. Well, again, I want to thank you. Thank you both.
Say,
you want one more thing?
One more thing.
No problem.
If you want to find more information about the Purple Hat, it's a very interesting history. Just go online, just Google. I mean, I have a whole folder of information about the Purple Hat. There are books available at the public library, but just read about it. Read about the history. Read about George Washington and what he thought about his soldiers. And it's the foundation of the United States. So it's a fascinating history, and I really hope that people will get as much information as they can about it.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you both for joining us today, and please remember those important dates, August 5th and August 7th. And thanks again for recognizing the veterans in the service of this community. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks for having us today.
Sharon.
Thanks again, Jeannie and Mike, for taking time out from your day and joining us here on Ask Bill Keegan. And of course, thanks again, Bill Keegan, for your time and your efforts for this community. It's greatly appreciated, and we want to reach out to everybody to go ahead and give your input. You can look at askbillkeegan.com. The phone number that you can call if you'd like to leave a message is 774-226-9764. Or just go ahead and email askbillkeegan@gmail.com. Thank you very much.